Hey, Natalie here from Mum's Garage, and we're about to catch up with Ankit, the founder of the NZ Tech Ecosystem page. The reason we're doing that is because there's been a lot of backlash recently about him wanting to sell the group for 75k. I've actually met him once before and I know what a great guy he is. And I also know that there's a really awesome story behind why the page started, and I thought that would give the group some perspective. So here we go. Welcome, Ankit. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Nat, for having me.
No worries. So just to kick off, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing, what you work on? Who you are?
So look, I'm Ankit. I started the group almost 5 years ago, and the idea for the group essentially was based on my own frustration, which I had. I was going to a few meetup groups, and meetups are typically physical, so you have to go there. And also they're restrained by the number of people come in. So the idea I had was letting people connect via a online platform, and Facebook at the time was the perfect platform because it was growing. So I started the group, and within I think few days we had 100 people. And fast forward 5.5 years, I think it's almost 7,600 people on the group. Now the question you asked is who I am. Look, my background is actually I've gone through multiple stages. I studied bioinformatics, and then I studied software, my postgrad, and then I worked as a software developer 2 years. And then the last 9 years I've been working in advertising across different global 3 groups. My current job is with a company called Icon. So the group has been it's parallel to my full-time job, and also I've been running my own startup for last sort of 6 years. From 2010 till 2015, we did Offerbook as our first startup, which was basically an app built for US market, and we had developed over a few 100,000 downloads, both iOS and Android. And last year and a half, we've sort of evolved to a different startup.
Nice. And you said Pavel is based over in Thailand?
Pavel is, yes. Pavel, the story is that he was actually the first person I added to the group. So I started the group, and I added him because as an admin. So he's as you said, he's a co-founder of the group. And he was here for, I think, 2.5 years from the inception of the group. And then last 2 years, I think 2.5 years ago, he moved to Thailand, and he runs a startup incubator there, where they're actually doing well. And I'm regular touch with him. He's still active. He still responds. So he's not just gone away and forgotten about the group. He's still pretty active. Yeah,
cool. And so it started 5 years ago, you said?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, cool. So what was the experience that you had, or why did you start the group initially?
Yeah, I think I briefly touched on that just before. I think my biggest frustration at that time was there were a few handful of people controlling the startup ecosystem through the meetups, and they were letting people in and out based on certain criteria, so you had to fit into the criteria. But I believe startups could come in from any direction, any forms of life, and everyone should be able to come together as a country. And I think the typical problem with meetups are they're restrained, as I said before. Physically, you have one here, one in Wellington, one in Christchurch, and the idea was create something that people are connected to. And I remember at that time it was all LinkedIn groups were pretty big, and I take the bet that, hey, people are spending time on Facebook, and Facebook has just launched their IPO, I think, so they're going to go gangbusters, and which they did. So I used Facebook as a platform, and groups were relatively new, so I started the group, not a page, people. Since then it's sort of rest is history.
Yep, cool. And so I guess I find the page really interesting and sometimes quite frustrating. And I think the behaviors of the page, the reason I find it so interesting is because it's kind of, there's a snapshot of a lot of the things that are actually happening in reality in the ecosystem. And so I'm curious, given that you've watched this page or been a part of this page or grown this page for 5 years, what are some of the common themes or trends that you see in the behaviors of the group that you think are really relevant for the actual wider ecosystem?
In terms of, I think a lot of questions people ask around, obviously, fundraising, a lot of questions around fundraising, a lot of debate around what a startup is and should be, and we were just discussing before. A lot of people have their own opinions about how a startup should be run and should be. So a lot of debate around that. Obviously, a lot of positive debate we've had in the past around diversity groups within startups. So I think it's in terms of themes, there are various different themes that have popped up in the last 5 years that I've watched closely, and sometimes I try to actually be neutral to the group because I started the group, so I don't share my opinion because I think it's, I want people to engage with it, and I don't want to come out as a founder who's also trying to get the fame. So I'm neutral to the group. But yeah, look, it's gone from from one end of the spectrum to another where people are talking about their successes. I think that's again one thing we don't talk about. And failures, I think that's one of the frustrations I've had is that a lot of people have done a lot of things, but they sort of go in hiding. So I want them to come out because they have experiences that no one else would have, or the founders, early stage founders, would actually have to go through and potentially fail. But if you have people who have failed, they can share their experiences, and that's one thing I've personally tried to do and talk to founders that have failed, that they can come out and share their experience.
Yeah, nice. And that's, I think, what I love about you being in control of the admin position as well. Like, you haven't taken any value from the group. You've run this group for 5 years, you and Pavel, and you don't. There's no underlying motive for you, and you have a really neutral position, which I think is I really appreciate, because you just let the community happen organically in a way, and you manage it a little bit, as you've said. So I guess what's kept you going? Like, considering that there's like, what is it that's kept you going?
Yeah, I think just seeing the engagement, seeing the people getting value out of the group, it's been biggest fun because a lot of people come to me, they DM me on Facebook and saying, hey, thanks for starting the group and thanks for doing what you did. And it's obviously motivational because that's, as I said, openly on stuff also. I spend sort of 10 odd minutes every day. Again, it's a pretty generic number. But I spend time just to get the right value and have a vision that it shouldn't be, everyone is equal, everyone should contribute equally and should get the value equally. And what kept me going personally, it's just seeing that people are engaging, people are finding, as I said, people are finding co-founders, people are finding team members, people are finding, advice and mentors and funding. And those are the things I wanted to see for myself when I was starting the group. And I would see the value and find the value when I'm ready, at that stage for my own startup that I'm doing now. So it's just, if it's for me to see this thing exist, and I still want to see it grow further. And I think it brings value to us as a country where we can all come together and help each other out.
Cool. And then there's been obviously the recent backlash around putting it on TradeMe for $75,000. What was the idea behind that, or what were you hoping for with listing it? Why did you do it?
Yeah, I think that's obviously a hot topic on everyone's mind, and look, it's pretty simple. If you've read the listing, you would understand me. And one of the things I said in the listing is the monetization part was actually highlighted. Who should buy it was highlighted. And what am I doing with the money, right? There were 3 key things other than just, hey, group is active. So let's start with monetization. So as you said, it's been 5 years. We get offers every week. People trying to pay us for letting a post in or a job listing in or a type of, affiliate letter where they can actually make money from the members. And advertising in terms of putting banners for a couple of $100 a week. And we've never, myself and Pavel, has taken a stand where we will not accept the money and not dilute the group. And this is exactly what I said on the listing, that we don't want the new owner, if someone wants to come in, to use these methods to make money. If they want to make money, they can through other ways, but that's something as you can see as members, there hasn't been any listing or any money been made myself or Pebble. Other groups, founders have come to me after the debacle and they're saying, look, why are you not doing that? Everyone else does it, why are you not doing it? But I've taken a stand that I'm against that. Who should buy it? It should be someone who's actually involved, and that's one of the key emphasis I had on the listing, is like, you are part of the group, you understand the members, you understand the community, you understand Texas ecosystem in the country. And if you could be the part of it, then you should consider buying it. And the third part is why I'm selling it. It's basically, as I said in the listing, essentially I'm working on startup. I'm working on a hardware-based startup that's expensive to build, and we've been building in sort of in a stealth mode for almost a year a bit. I think there are two ways to look at it. One is you started something, you're the community leader. And the second one is entrepreneur, and I believe I'm still an entrepreneur at heart. I did it because I wanted to see this exist. That wasn't, as I said earlier, it wasn't to get the fame and to become a leader within the startup group. Yes, I've had a lot of people come to me and have jobs that have come to me, that people wanting me to do a specific role within startup ecosystem. I've personally said no, because I think I'm still working on something, and the bottom line is I'm still an entrepreneur at heart.
Yeah, and that's the awesome thing, is that you had a problem in the beginning, you solved it in a really good way, not only for yourself but for a huge community. It's probably one of the most successful communities or groups in New Zealand, it's probably added the most value to the startup community compared to most things that are done in New Zealand. And so that's why I personally think this backlash is really unjustified. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I think it's, everyone, I think there are two sides to look at it again. There's obviously, I'm just still thinking it's, I think we're all entrepreneurs in the group, and I think we have voice. We should be able to say what we want to say. Yeah. And I think the one thing I've noticed is a lot of people have come directly at me on my Facebook DM and tagged at me. Look, if you want to talk to me, just give me a call. I'm open. I've spoken to a lot of people. So I personally don't think there's anything wrong with it in terms of people coming at me. As long as you have a opinion and you're not pointing at me personally, I'm happy with that. I think you should have an opinion, and nothing wrong with it. Those posts that are there, they're still there. We could have deleted them if we wanted to. We are the admins. Myself and Pebble, but I enjoy that. I myself go through and read them, and it helps me learn how to do things better. Maybe if I do it next time, but I personally don't think any problem with that.
Yeah. One thing that we talked about just before this, actually, that I think is really good, is the idea that people are trying to, and I've seen this happen a lot. They try and really curate what they think startups should be and what they think the ecosystem should be. And I really like your philosophy with the group, where you're not micromanaging the community, you're just letting people just engage how they want to engage within. Like, obviously they can't go too overboard or to try and push whatever they're doing onto too many people. But what are your thoughts on that? Because you've obviously seen it for a long period of time, this micromanaging of communities.
I think the biggest trend for me, or insight for me, is people who are doing amazing stuff, they typically don't come out.
Yes.
They let other people talk about it, how it should be, because they are the ones actually doing it. So I've taken the stand, it's a group, and people have a voice, and let them say what they want to say. And everyone should be able to discuss and raise their hand up and saying, hey, I'm not happy, or I'm happy with what they find. So in terms of what my stand is, I think you've just summed it up. I'm neutral. Anyone who, as long as it's not abusive, is not anyone who's not trying to make direct money, we will let the post in. But if we see someone who's blatantly coming back and pointing at people or abusive towards someone, and that's one of the things I've noticed, is a lot of people have come directly through my Facebook DM and have tried to be abusive, even though they're still on the group. But we're going to take a stand where we're not going to let people in and be abusive, because I think it destroys the value of people having a debate.
Yeah, agreed. And if there were other people that could provide enough value, they would have started their own group and it would have been successful.
Correct. Yeah, everyone can start a group. Starting a group is the easiest thing to do. You know, it's the building that, spending time, and I think we're talking behind the scenes is there's a lot of time goes in. Even if you find 10-15 minutes, you know, a day. If you add up over 5 years, it adds up, and it's outside of me making money through the group. So I think anyone can start the group if they want to. I love the competition as a country. We should have more people doing more things. So yeah, look, I'm happy if you want to start a new group or page or a meetup. Yeah.
So obviously the reason why people are annoyed is because they feel like they are creating the value of the community and you are monetizing that. What's your view on that?
I think the group, obviously, people have posted comments, people have, you know, got engagement out of it, and they are engaged, right? Absolutely. But I look at it a different way. How much time I've spent. So if I just do a normal calculation of 10 or 15 minutes of my time, last 5 years, I think it adds up to around 300, 400 hours minimum. Not considering that it could have been more, because early on I was engaged quite a bit more. So even if I just put a dollar value, let's say I put, you know, $100, $150, well, that adds up to $60,000 straight up, right? So even if I just go in that direction, forget about $10 per person, which a lot of people said, you know, my time is worth something. So I think. So I think, you know, it's just looking at, depends on which lens you look at,
Yeah. And have you had much interest? I'm curious. And I'm
yes,
sure a lot of people are.
I've had a few different entities that reached out, obviously not through TradeMe, through Facebook directly and my personal, you know, LinkedIn and whatnot. And nothing has I'm still talking to people. I think there are a lot of interest, a lot of different people, and as I said early on, I want to find the right buyer if I end up selling it. If nothing happens, I'm more than happy, and I can support myself. So thanks for all the advice and all the support. But I think if nothing happens, I'll continue running the group as I did. No one knew me, and no one knows to know me. Everything just happens, will happen as it happened in the past.
Would you consider other ways of monetizing it, like paid membership or something else?
Yeah. So look, I've never considered that, and I think I would rather prefer, as my opinion, I would rather continue running the group as I've done, not monetizing through posts or banners or anything else. I think personally, and one of the things I mentioned before to staff also, is, you know, we could have had more than 7,500 members. In a week we get, sometimes some good weeks we get up to 200 people willing to join the group a week. And I only accept 10 or 15 based on where they live. Are they connected, or is there any of their friends connected to the group? You know, are they doing any startups? Are they have they tried to what other groups they're like members of? So I go through 4 or 5 things.
So you actively vet them.
Actively go to their profiles and look at a lot of different things.
Well, see, that's a value add.
Well, that's the 10-15 minutes of time where I spend every week, every day. Sorry. And you know, that's just because I believe the 7,500 people that we have in the group, they are handpicked by me, or, you know, some of their friends, or Pavel. You know, so it's not that they are there because of we could have had a much bigger group, 20 to 30,000 people easily, but we decided to only handpick these 7,000.
See, people don't see that, and I think that's because you don't push yourself on the group. People don't know that you do all this stuff. Yeah. I hear people have been asking for an apology.
Yes, a lot of people have come out and spoken to a few people and have said, you've made a mistake. And I personally don't think I've made a mistake. And I said, you know, again, going to repeat myself here, is I'm an entrepreneur in heart, and I don't think I've done any mistake here. I think, you know, I'm not selling an individual, as I said. I'm selling a group for what's it worth, which is worth my time. And I think there's a lot of value that the group has created for everyone. If you're a member, if you use the group, you would agree with me that, you know, you've got some value out of the group. So no, I'm not apologetic for anything I've done.
No, fair enough. I have one final question, and that is, based on what you've seen in the group and just your experience in the ecosystem in general, what are the really great things about the New Zealand ecosystem, and what are our weaknesses?
A lot of people are doing good things. However, there's a small bunch of people, they are actually trying to make other people feel that they are the startup sort of circle in the country. I think everyone should do what they think is right. And there's no right way, I believe, of starting a startup. Could go either way. So I think good thing is a lot of people are doing that. There's a lot of connections being made through the group, and I've personally spent time with Icehouse and Angel HQ and other entities, and I know as a country we're doing amazingly well. And in fact, I think we should push forward for doing more. Weaknesses, I think, again, you know, not get bogged down by a few people that are trying to claim the fame because they think they know everything, because I don't personally think anyone knows startup. It's essentially, startup is just early stages of a company. Essentially, it comes down to how you take it to the next stage. And that's when you can say that there are a handful of people that understands a company, but a startup is, you know, it's a small entity that should be nimble and should move fast.
Yeah, and there's not really one right way.
There's no, I believe there's no real right way. In fact, I have worked with some of the successful startups in the country, and I know the founders myself. I got the emails and messages from them that they may not have expressed on the group, saying that you're doing well, you know, keep doing what you've done and still doing. You know, I think those are the people I want to relate myself to, and I think we should all look upon to, you know, those people that have done well.
Yeah, I agree. And you've provided a platform that creates more visibility around that, which is amazing. So thank you. I think thank you on behalf of the ecosystem in general. Thank you to you. Thanks to you and Pavel for creating such an amazing platform for connecting the community.
Thanks, Nat. Again, thanks for having me, and thanks for talking to me. I think, you know, I try not to, I try not to come out in public, and I just do what I do. But yeah, look, you know, if you do have any questions, just reach out to me directly. I'll be happy. I'm available. I'm happy to give you my phone number and stuff. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. So I hope you enjoyed that chat, and I hope it gave you some perspective from the other side, which you might not have had before. If you have any other questions, as Ankit said, jump on the Facebook page or send him a message. Bye.